Hello, Advisen. Thank you for having me. My name is Sergio Orellana. I serve as the Director of Breach Response at Redpoint Cyber. And thank you for having us. I want to take this time to uh, plug the company, but also in a certain regard, be able to talk about a trend that we've seen of managed service providers being compromised, and therefore their clients are compromised, and the devastating effects that has. Um, really want to go over exactly how we can provide that added level, that layer of defense in depth for clients that use MSPs, and really the pitfalls that MSPs present as a single point of failure. Um, so, managed service providers are there to provide IT services, provide software for users from a determined client that enters into that agreement. So that way, IT services are provided to augment and be able to provide support for operations. And in that relationship, the managed service provider has access to the individual client. The attacks here that are outlined from what we researched, enterprises as high as the Secret Service and actors as persistent and successful, notorious, such as Gang Crab and Revel, have been involved in these attacks against these managed service providers. And you have to think that if the managed service provider is able to store one or multiple clients' data, then breaching one, you'd allow that pivot and springboard into a relatively easy attack and devastating breach. And so, where do we go from here? Managed service providers make sense. They made sense before a shift in remote climates for COVID-19, and they'll continue to do so after that. Um, it's not to say that MSPs can't do the job. It is that MSPs and the client should come up with a customizable, proactive solution to counter any threat, any emerging threat that's out there. And if you have that unilateral relationship between MSP and client, the client must also be able to have visibility into the security of the MSP. Perhaps that is curtailed by an SLA, but in order to deter attackers from leveraging that potentially insecure communication or connection, we are suggesting at Redpoint a proactive approach to enhance what the client and the MSP have as an existing relationship. And these are in four core tenets. The first one being the ability to mount breach response groups, forensic ability. We do so remotely and on site on client servers, whether that's remote or on the cloud or on-prem or hybrid. We're able to deploy our tool to investigate for um, individual artifacts that could potentially be on there that would help advise if a attacker got through, or if if malware is present, then where would we find it, and then what would we do with it? What we're offering is a tiered process that feeds into each other. So here we would be looking at mounting our forensic tool onto these artifacts, including Exchange servers, right? We're looking for anomalous activity. We're looking for redirection of mailboxes. We're looking for rules to filter, to forward email. We're looking for users that have anomalous activity, anomalous logins. And so we pair the artifacts that we capture on the forensics on network resources, from what we can gather from the host through an EDR tool, and in the Exchange server, mail server, and then we move into penetration testing. So we've already know what's happening, right? We have a certain level of visibility through a forensics, but now we're going to be able to see exactly what an attacker could see. So our test runs from an attacker's perspective to the point that we use real-world exploits that have been rewritten to not contain malicious payloads, just to see how far the attacker can go. And in that way, we evaluate the controls that are presently available. And in doing so, we are able to craft and customize strategies to address those specific shortcomings. And then from whatever we find within the forensics and then within the pen test, we look for those indicators of compromise and begin hunting for them. So that way we are able to reduce the recursive access that the attacker may want on the enterprise, and for continued operations that the attacker may use, not only to actual trade, not only to actually trade data, but potentially be used for crypto mining, or potentially as a C2 node. So that way additional attacks can happen. And lastly, the threat intelligence piece, we're able to provide the client with actionable controls, actionable recommendations, and we have that threat intelligence piece tailored to the client by vertical, so that way they're clear about the threats that their industry faces. All four of those are these defense in depth layers that will allow a client to have added visibility into their own network, and also, in addition to the MSP, be able to have that added layer of security. At Redpoint, we're looking to continuously match emerging threats and nation state APT actors that have the most successful and the most persistent threats to our enterprises. And COVID is no reason to let our guard down. In fact, much more so to improve and maintain a cadence with our clients, so that way they are no longer victims in this unprecedented time and beyond. So I appreciate you taking the time to see this video. If you could give us a look on our website, LinkedIn page. Again, my name is Sergio Orellana. I am the Breach Response Director at Redpoint, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you.